Hi again, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of First Person, our weekly video production here on Press Pros Magazine, sponsored by the Buckeye Insurance Group in Piqua, as well as the Coverman Dickerson Agency, representing Buckeye in Troy, Piqua, and Covington, all over Miami County. As you can see, we're on the big stage of the Schottenstein Center at Ohio State University. It is the OHSAA basketball tournament season here in March, and our guest this week is the commissioner of the OHSAA, Dr. Dan Ross, a guy that I particularly like to talk to because we get to talk a lot.
We do.
We share a lot of the same values, and this is a great time and a great event to get together. Dr. Ross, first of all, congratulations on another great year. I know this is one of the crown jewels of the OHSAA calendar, and I know it makes you very happy to come here and profile high school sports in this manner.
Well, the wonderful part is also to see the exhibition of the youngsters. It's kind of their pinnacle of their season, the pinnacle of their athletic season, not their student season, because that goes on year round. But to bring the communities together and to bring them in here in their trip to Columbus, and sometimes we take that for granted, but for some of these communities and some of these people, they don't do this very often, and this makes it a very, very special event for the kids and the community.
We talk about this being one of the crown jewels of the OHSAA. Certainly Ohio has been forever a football state. It's part of our culture, but in the last, I'll say 25 years, basketball has really gained a stronger foothold, and I know it makes you very proud when you look and consider the talent that comes out of the state, goes on to higher levels of basketball, and all you got to do is look across the street here at Ohio State University. Aaron Kraft, Jared Sullinger, John Diebler, David Lighty, all played in this event on this stage.
Dallas Lauderdale.
Dallas Lauderdale, you bet.
6 out of the first 7 on the #1 team in the country played in this tournament.
In your tournament. Yeah. And I know that makes you very proud.
In our tournament.
Yeah, in our
because
tournament.
That's a tournament for all the kids in Ohio.
You can't talk about Ohio sports without the concern of economics, because it dictates everyone's budget, it dictates your budget. And when you look across the 88 counties and the stress that everybody's under, Senate Bill 5, and looking forward to the 2011 school year, you have to be concerned about that too.
Well, I don't think that anybody in Ohio cannot be concerned about the economic climate. It's going to have an effect. It's going to have an effect in the schools. I think it's going to have an effect on opportunities that are going to be available for young people.
And the reality is, and I don't know if enough people appreciate this, you and I talk about it all the time, the values that kids get from competition, and particularly on this stage, the big stage, those things follow you through life. And I mean, I'm taking nothing away from math and English. They're important, and there would be no Press Pros if there wasn't for math and English. But those values of competitive sports, people underestimate that.
Well, everyone knows that the crown jewel is what's happened in the classroom.
Right.
But this is kind of the lab portion of that. You have the opportunity to exert being a leader, to exert being a teammate, to exert following the rules, to exert when you get knocked down, you got a choice. You can either stay down or you can get back up. The commitment, the camaraderie, those are things that you don't really pick up in the classroom. You can learn the basics of those kind of things, but you get a chance to practice those. Practice them here. In a lot of ways, you practice them here where it doesn't really have an effect that's going to last you the rest of your life. But those lessons that you learn are going to be lessons you're going to take with you every day the rest of your life, and they're going to help you in whatever career you have every day the rest of your life.
His name is Dr. Dan Ross. He's the commissioner of the Ohio High School Athletic Association. We're going to take a break and come back and talk about the competitive balance vote that's coming up in when? May?
In May. First 2 weeks in May.
We'll be back and talk about that right after this word from the Coverman Dickerson Agency, representing Buckeye Insurance in Troy, Piqua, and Covington.
The Coverman Dickerson Agency, with offices in Troy, Piqua, and Covington, is pleased to be the sponsoring Buckeye Insurance Group agent for this first-person interview. For farm, auto, and homeowner insurance, Coverman Dickerson is one of the area's fastest-growing Buckeye providers, with a history of service and competitive rates. And we're also an outstanding source of coverage for families with young drivers. For farm, auto, and home policies, call the Coverman Dickerson Agency, proud to represent Buckeye Insurance Group.
Welcome back to this week's edition of First Person. We're talking with Dr. Dan Ross, the Commissioner of the Ohio High School Athletic Association. We talked about before the break about a very significant turning point for Ohio high school sports, and certainly something that might turn out to be your legacy down the road, and that is this competitive balance issue. Now, I don't want to get into having you explain, because I know you're probably sick and tired of all the questions. But
I love it.
It deals with territories, it deals with traditions, some socioeconomic issues like school lunches, how to make things more fair, at least in culture's eyes, in the public's eyes, between the public and the private schools. But I want to ask you this, being an old jock, I worry about the fact of the kid who says, I don't care who I play. If I'm going to play for a state title, if I'm going to have a championship, I don't want it to be watered down. I don't want it to be a cheap trophy. I want the satisfaction of knowing that I beat the very best competition. I don't care where they come from. If they're recruited, if they're in school and they're eligible, I say game on. I don't hear that argument enough, and I'd like to pose it to you and hear your thoughts on it.
Well, I think it's a great point, and I think it's a point that the committee actually did think about. The proposal that the committee put together in their collective wisdom, in a way, it addresses that piece because it keeps the system the way it is, as far as you're going to play whoever is out there that's coming from that other side of that bracket, and it doesn't make any difference whether they're public or non-public. The only piece that this piece puts into place, it changes that 100-year formula of the only way that you got put into your division was by how many kids walked through the front door, into 3 other factors that are going to be added to the enrollment number to decide how you get put into the division. It keeps the public and the non-public pieces together. It gives you the opportunity to play the best school that's going to be on the other side of that bracket.
The important thing to me particularly, and again, I played, you coached, you've been around sports all your life, that is probably the most important attribute of competition, is that desire to carry forward, as you said before the break, into life, that mindset of I want to win, I want to excel and have success against the very best. You don't want to take that out of what you represent.
No, no. And this proposal still gives you the opportunity to make that piece work. Because I know it started, and the issue that kind of brought this to the forefront was the question about should we separate and put the non-publics on one side and the publics on the other, and then you have exactly what you just said. You're going to line up, but you're not going to play the best. You may play the best in that division, but that question is always going to be there. You're going to have a championship with an asterisk. Because everybody's going to say, well, that was the year so-and-so won the other division, and you never played them. And they would have beat you if you two played.
When we talk, we always have some fun. And I want to finish this up for the sake of people in Miami County, because there was a time, I don't know how many years ago, I'll let you say if you want to, when you were the principal at Portsmouth Notre Dame High School down in Scioto County, when a young football coach named Charlie Burbacher was making his way into the ranks as the head football coach at Portsmouth Notre Dame. I know you guys are good friends. Charlie, of course, is in his 30-something year, and certainly a great tenure at Tip City, but I know you guys have a special relationship.
We do, and Charlie, what a legend that he is. And I guess there's 2 things that always stick out with me with Charlie. And Charlie was very successful.
Yeah.
He was very, very successful there. I know when he left, he was very successful in Covington, and I know his son is at Fort Lawrence.
Yeah,
so,
he's begatting another legend.
Well, that's a good thing too. But there were 2 things that always stuck out with me, and Charlie and Carol and the family, just a great family. But Charlie was always going to do it the right way. And I'm sure that stuck with him every year that he ever coached, because there's a lot of people that kind of always look, I'd like to win, and I really am not real sure about how I get there, but winning's more important. There's nobody likes to win any more than Charlie, but there's only one way Charlie's going to win. Charlie's going to win doing it the right way. And Charlie loves his kids. I mean, he is going to go to the wall. He'll go to the mat for his kids. That he would never play a kid that was hurt. He would never do anything for a youngster that wasn't in their best interest. But he loves these kids, and he's going to do it the right way. Now I hear he's mellowed out a little bit. He'll probably appreciate that.
You'll be getting a letter.
But he was extremely intense, but he was intense for his kids, and he was intense because he was going to make sure he did it the right way.
You know, I want to thank you again for the opportunity to talk here. I know you're busy. It's a weekend. Great. And if you haven't made plans to come to the state basketball tournaments, girls this week, boys next week, do so. It is really one of the crown jewels of Ohio high school sports. I want to thank you again for the work that you do, and I say this all the time, no one could stage an event like this better than you and your group. Appreciate it. Appreciate what you do and the way you represent high school sports.
Well, high school sports are still hopefully that pure area that you have the opportunity to see the best of our young people. It's at least one fashion to see the best of our young people. But thank you for your support for high school sports. If you get a chance, please do come out. Support these young people. Support the programs and the values that they espouse because they're great learning lessons for young people for the rest of their lives.
This man will guarantee you there'll never be a lockout. Am I right?
Very true.
Never a lockout. That wraps up this week's edition of First Person, our interview here with Dr. Dan Ross at the Schottenstein Center. Again, brought to you by the Buckeye Insurance Group in Piqua, representing the Coverman-Dickerson Agency in Troy, Piqua, and Covington. Again, join us again next week. Thanks for your time. For Dr. Ross and the sponsors, we appreciate your support of Press Pros Magazine. See you next time here on First Person.
If you are looking for quality insurance protection from a reliable company, sold by professionals in communities like yours, that's what you'll get from Buckeye Insurance Group.
Buckeye Insurance Group, insuring the heartland.
To find your local Buckeye agent, visit buckeye-ins.com. Buckeye Insurance Group, insuring the heartland.
Insuring the heartland.